quick announcement before we start. We have some news to share at the end of the video, so stick around for that. In Mistwinter Bay, every character has their own personal quest. The personal quest can really shape your relationship with the character depending on the decisions you make in it. All the personal quests are full of choices, except for one. The one for the wheat farmer, Oscar's Wheat. First off, let me just introduce myself. I'm LevUNknown, lead developer of the visual novel RPG Mistwinter Bay. That basically means I do everything but the art, which my sister Wogglawooh takes care of. Although she has written a few characters now, so that's a relief for me. But the character we're talking about today, Oscar, is my own work. So, what's unique about Oscar? As you could probably guess from the intro, he doesn't have a lot of choices in his personal quest. Instead, it functions more like a type of negative reputation event. Specifically, the type that is based on which other characters you have in town and what your relationship with them looks like. If you want to know more about personal quests and negative reputation events, we have videos about that. But why does Oscar's personal quest work differently than others? It has to do with his relationship with another character who can live in the town. That character is partly responsible for him being who he is, and they've had a close connection in the past. Before we go deeper into that, I should give you a spoiler warning. I won't reveal anything big, but if you want to go into Oscar's story completely blind in the full game, you should probably skip this video. So, early on when you get to know Oscar, he talks about someone named Mary. Eventually you find out that Mary is his 8 years older sister. When Mary turned 18, she left the family's farm without a trace. Ever since then, Oscar has wondered what happened to her. The rest of his family doesn't really seem to care, but Oscar has a lot of worries and insecurities related to Mary and her disappearance. More than anything, he wants to know if she's still alive, why she left, and if he had anything to do with it. Oscar's personal quest is about finding Mary in order for him to leave his worries and insecurities behind. But what does this have to do with Oscar's personal quest being so unique? Well, Mary is one of the characters who can move into town. Who she specifically is, I won't say. I won't even confirm or deny that we've added her to the game yet. Let's just say that since we have all the art for the characters, it isn't necessary to add her as her own character in-game before adding her in Oscar's personal quest. Since Mary is her own character, it's impossible for Oscar to have a personal quest like other characters. After all, you can already have all sorts of relationships with Mary, so a traditional starting point leading to a bunch of options wouldn't make any sense. Instead, the event introduces Oscar's wish to reunite with Mary, and then splits into several starting points depending on your relationship with Mary. Some of those starting points offer choices, but some of them are linear. That means that in some cases you will get a completely linear story with no options in Oscar's personal quest, but you've already made several choices in other events and situations leading up to the personal quest and that particular ending of it. So I think it's fine to not have choices in every branch. Now you might wonder, which starting points are there for this personal quest? Which relationship statuses you have with Mary provide different starting points? It's basically these ones. Mary is a regular townsperson who you may or may not have met and who you have a normal relationship with. By normal I mean you aren't married and Mary doesn't hate you for any reason or something like that. You haven't met Mary. That's either because you haven't built her building or you built the building that takes up the same spot as hers. Meeting her in the visiting the inn event doesn't count as meeting her. Mary is unavailable for some reason, usually because you've thrown her in prison or she detests you. Mary has moved out, or she has died, or you have married her. So some of these starting points will provide choices for you, but some won't. By looking at the starting points, you can probably guess at least a few that won't provide any choices. And that's how Oscar's personal quest works. It might seem a bit strange to base someone's personal quest so much on another character, but I think it's a fun break from the way the rest of the personal quests work. And Oscar's personality has been shaped so much by Mary that it wouldn't make sense to not involve her in his personal quest. As for whether or not Oscar has anything to do with Mary's personal quest, that's for you to find out on your own in the full version of the game. Right now the only playable version of Mistwinter Bay is an old demo, but you can wishlist the game on Steam to get notified when the full release is out. You can also play the demo on itch.io. Now, before we end things, I have some news to share. Since August last year, we've been posting devlogs every other week. In the beginning, we even posted once or twice a week, but making YouTube videos takes time. Depending on the complexity of the video, it takes one of us around 1 to 2 days of work to make one. That's 1 to 2 days that could be spent working on the actual game itself. So in a month, we lose between 2 and 4 days worth of work on the game by making devlogs. Right now, we've also hit somewhat of a slump in what to show in devlogs, since we're basically only working on implementing characters, and we don't feel like discussing every character we add. You're supposed to experience them yourself in the full game. We'll happily take suggestions on topics topics though. So where am I going with this? As you can probably imagine, our upload schedule will change. Instead of a devlog every other week, we'll start posting once a month instead. We do plan to create video content on another platform though. TikTok, because apparently that's where you're supposed to market indie games nowadays. And at the end of the day, marketing Mistwinter Bay is what devlogs are actually for. If we can get more eyes on the game on TikTok by making much shorter and resource lighter videos there, we have to try it out. It would be a bad business move to not try it. That might mean that we'll post some TikToks as YouTube shorts as well, but we'll see about that. And that's all I have to say for today. We'll be seeing you sometime next month.